Welcome to the pre-race show for the Sonoma Cup for round 7 of the AOSC, and it will be race 182 coming to you this Friday night. And we do need to go through a lot of things though tonight, including round number 6 that came from Oran Park, the historic track in Australia and New South Wales. And there was plenty of action happening all over, especially in turn number 2, which we did predict in the pre-race show last week. But of course, we couldn't do all this without the help from all of our sponsors, of course, Jinx Shifters, who are fantastic with all their brake bias adjusters and shifters. Also, AJ Insurance Services, simrigs.com, Sydney Computers, Race Art Australia, and Track Cams for Gourmet. And a big welcome to someone new who's going to be behind the scenes taking the photography off the races, which will be Bowler Media Sideways Photography. So big welcome to those guys. Can't wait to see what they produce. And as part of that, we do need to put a thank you out to Tom Freer and 6 Gear Imagery for all the support they've done for the AOSC TV. And we also want to thank them for everything they've done for the pre-race show, all the photos they've provided, all the social media they've put out there. And we wish him all the best in the rest of the season. Hopefully he gets up there in the championship points. And, of course, if you haven't already, go to the YouTube channel and make sure you like and subscribe to that one. But Dan and Norry, you've joined me again once back in the pre-race show. It's fantastic to have you back. Dan, you are back from your pedicure.
Yeah, mate, the finger's looking good and waiting to see what we come up with for Sonoma this weekend.
And Norry, was action-packed for you too. Turn 2 was where it was all happening.
Yeah, I don't think we moved from turn 2 all race. I mean, we did go around the circuit a few times, but turn 2 was where we kept being drawn back to where the action really was.
All right, and this is how it ended. Of course, it was James Scott who got himself another win. He was dominant again in this one. We do need to talk about it, though, the safety car start. I mean, if you watched the race, you didn't quite hear us. Lots of things happening very quickly at the start. Basically, the qualifying session ended before he could finish his lap. So we actually got a time on his lap. He was the number 1 qualifier at the end of that one. But because the session finished in iRacing, it didn't count in the actual iRacing system itself. So what our race officials did was they looked at his lap time. It was number 1. The decision was made we would start under safety car, which I think was a fantastic decision from the race control, who were thinking on their feet. They had to come up with something. So we actually started under safety car on the first lap. But with all those incidents throughout the race at turn number 2, what we predicted last week in the pre-race show, Norry, it was probably the better decision there because we actually had a really clean start.
Absolutely. The way to have solved that issue was how it was solved. It was a safety car start, and it really got everyone single file. There was none of that jostling for position because we would have seen a safety car anyway had they started 2x2 from a grid formation. I think a safety car start was the absolute best way to go. Hats off to race control for that one.
And me and Dan put money on that, Dan, didn't we? We put money on a safety car. It happened lap 1. Norrie doesn't get any of the winnings.
No winnings for him, unfortunately. But, yeah, it's a good change of tack there, given the circumstances of what had unfolded, and top effort from race control to get the race underway as quickly as possible.
All right, top 10. James Scott, number 1, of course. Corey Shepherd gets himself another second. He's getting plenty of those silver trophies. Jordan Ross, fantastic result from him after all the bad luck he's had at a couple of our previous races to get on the podium. Actually came in 3rd for Jordan Ross. And his teammate from Synergy Sim Racing, Damien Johnson, got a fantastic result to end up 4th. So that was great from him. In 5th was Adam Briggs. Now, he had a turn 2 incident, went a bit too wide there and didn't quite pull the car up. And he ended up back in 5th position. He was earlier running in 2nd. And then we go back to 6th place, which was Dylan Rudd, Brett Loxton behind him, Aaron Dodd, Kyle Stokes, and rounding out your top 10 was Brian Borg. Now, Norrie, what else do we need to look at in the results from round number 6?
My star performer from this round was Damien Johnston, running that 50th anniversary banner, which is, a huge achievement for AOSC. It works better for Damien than it did for Tom Freer at Barber, but he was originally qualified P11 and it moved up to P4 at the end of the race. Jordan Ross also deserving of his result in P3.
Yeah, and I think everyone else just sort of worked through it. One of the other mentions we need to do is Rob Harris changed over to the Mac 1 team, got a new livery, but he's kept the unlucky number 13. So unfortunate for him. Hopefully he can get somewhere in the coming weeks. But yeah, it was pretty there. Andrew Dyson was probably one that we didn't see in the top 10, Norrie, which was probably they've had a bit of a run on, haven't those guys, Adam Briggs and Andrew Dyson. And unfortunately for him, he didn't get up there as P3. They didn't swap positions this week.
But P5, so they're keeping that Simrigs DPR 5-3 thing still going. Andrew Dyson claims I broke his car. I guarantee you I did not. That's an untrue allegation.
We deny it. It's all denied emphatically. All right. Well, as we do in the pre-race show, let's move on to the Sydney Computers photo finish of the round. And this week, we've actually got 3 cars in there. The 2 that were the closest, though, was 13th place Stephen Varga and 14th place Thomas Hinds. That was 39 thousandths of a second apart, as you can see up there in the photo. How close is that one? And just behind him was Luke Rosella. So all 3 of them in the photo. Fantastic result for them to finish so close at the end. I mean, it was 13th, 14th, and 15th. Let's have a look at the replay and show you exactly what happened in the final moments of the race. Well, what a finish it was. And remembering that's for 13th position. There was Stephen Varga, Thomas Hinds, and of course it was Luke Rosella just in the background. So fantastic to see them fighting out all the way back after the top 10 as well for positions. And now we go through our licensing points for the round and see who's got a few licensing points that they're starting to add up now. The biggest hit this week was Thomas Hinds, who took 20 points, and Joseph Daly and Wade Sheedy got 15. Quite a few names in there. Brian Borg even got one. Looking down there, plenty of names to go through this week. Rob Bowden grabbed a couple, Sebastian Flock, Sean Thompson. So many to go through, Norrie, but it was hard at Oran Park. Like you say, a very busy track and anything can happen. So not surprising to see so many license points in this one.
Absolutely. That is the problem with Oran Park and being so tight and twisty. You've got those side-by-side type corners through the dog legs and those sort of ones. We'll see if they've straightened up their act because Sonoma, it could happen again.
All right. And after round number 6, this is what's left with our series standings. And no surprise to see James Scott with a nice little lead there of 150 points over Corey Shepherd. Of course, they've been 1 and 2 in most rounds, bar 1. So not surprised to see them at the top. Andrew Dyson in 30 holds on to that one. Jordan Ross, though, fantastic to see him move up in the championship, now in 4th position. Adam Briggs in 5th. So the DPR boys have got the 3rd and 5th thing going on. They keep that in the, keep the momentum with that. Brian Borg in 6th, so he's gone back a position. Tom Freer in 7. Kyle Stokes in 8. Damien Johnson in 9 now. And Jamie Stovall in 10. That's your top 10 in the championship standings. But Dan, you weren't with us throughout the race, but you had a chance to sort of go through a few things and check out where they all ended up. Who's your biggest mover and shaker so far in the championship since last round? Who's really caught your eye? There was some movement.
Look, I think there's been quite a few guys that have really moved up. You touched on them a little bit earlier on, but like Brett Loxton and Dylan Rudd, had a really strong drive, getting themselves well up in the points. I mean, that's all going to bode well throughout the course of this championship. So 6th and 7th for those guys respectively. But just through even the midfield, racing is still very, very tight. And we saw a couple of incidents up towards the front of the field with a few guys getting into each other, but down in the mid-pack, still a fair bit of respect shown and some guys putting on some good moves and passes along the way.
Yeah, Norrie, there is a little bit of movement now in the series standings, and one of the big one is Jordan Ross with a great finish this round and probably deserving after he's had a bit of bad luck so far this season.
You're not wrong. He's had some horrible races this season, but it is fantastic to see him really coming back through with a charge. Really enjoying watching the Simrigs DPR boys 3rd and 5th. So that's really making their charge in the series. And the Synergy guys, they're making a real good contention point down there in 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, I like Damien Johnston, who had that 4th place finish last round at Oran Park and now put him in the top 10. So he's in 9th position in the championship. Another one we need to look at, though, as we move on to the AJ Insurance Services impact of the round is Michael Taliancic. Now, he's had some up and down moments in the series. Unfortunately, did not finish the race. So he actually dropped from 12th position to 15, which was unfortunate for him. And he is our impact of the round, unfortunately. And it was turn 1 where it all went bad for him. Dan, we've shown you the replay. You've had a look at it. It was lap 48. He comes off the road. They're heavy impact with the wall. I mean, how do you take this one?
It's a little bit of a tricky one because he made the run in through turn 1. It is a little bit off the ideal line. The car was about a car width over there. Looking at the way it unfolded, he probably had enough room to pull that one up. So not really sure the in-car footage is maybe a little telling. There's a jink to the right to go off dirt track. Unfortunately, then you see the car go off into the tyre barrier. Big positive out of it. He did a hell of a job to get the car out of the way, which mitigated another safety car coming out. But it's a little bit of an unfortunate one. And as you're saying, I mean, it's a bit of a slippery slope now that he finds himself on. He's now dropped down to 15th in the championship.
Well, you want to know what we're talking about? Let's have a look right now. Yeah, well, very unfortunate for Michael Teleanchis to pick up the AJ Insurance Impact of the round, and unfortunate for him, a DNF put him a little bit back in the series point standings at the moment. So let's hope he can regain that in round number 7. However, it is time, and it's probably one of our favourite segments for me to go and check out what everyone's driving in at the moment. It is the simrigs.com Show Us Your Rig segment. And, of course, this week it is from Henry Thomas Kircher, who sent his rig in. Fantastic rig there too, Norrie. You want to run us through that one?
Absolutely. This week is, like I say, from Henry Thomas Kircher. He's got an NZ Sims 8020 rig. It looks like there's an emergency stop on the left side of it there. Doesn't look like it's motion, but let's add for that latest, Henry. He's got a SimCube 2 Pro, Cube Controls Formula Pro, Huskenville Sprint, so he's obviously got too much money, and triple 27-inch Asus monitors. He's just got to add the dash to it, and it should be a pretty choice setup.
Oh, mate, that rig is choice, bro. That's definitely choice. Hey, Dan.
It's pretty choice.
We're terrible with the accents, but that's okay. And, of course, if you do want to get involved, we've got a couple more to show you already in our Discord channel. But if you haven't already, pop them in there, the Show Us Your Rigs area, put some photos in there, tell us exactly what's there, and we'll keep bringing them to you every pre-race and see all the different setups we've got around the country. Now it's time, though, to have a look at our pre-race show format for what is going to be round number 7 at Sonoma Cup in California, USA. We're back in the United States, and this time it's going to be 37 laps around Sonoma. Of course, we go back to our original qualifying format. So the practice serve will be out from 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Pre-qualifying from 9 p.m. 9:40, though, we head over to the new server, and obviously that's when the Super Series gets underway in our broadcast. At 10 p.m. will be our race. It's 37 laps around Sonoma. It's going to be a big one, Dan. Let's run us through it.
Yeah, really great circuit, Sonoma. 3.2 Ks in length, 12 turns, a lot of undulation. It's very narrow, twisty, tight. Runoff is extremely hard to get through here, much like Oran Park. A lot of dirt out there, so keeping the car on circuit is going to be absolute paramount. The biggest talking points are going to be the run-up through turn 2, especially on the opening lap. You're cresting up a hill, blind entry with all the cars funneling into that spot. Expect to see some issues there. Blind entry, as we say, leads to an off-camber exit, but does set yourself up for a very good run through turn 3, A and B. The next big talking point, though, is going to be the run to try and conclude the lap. If you can nail the turn 7A complex and get yourself down through the S's, you run a very good chance of being able to put the car up the inside of someone, down in through the hairpin. But at the same time, you've got to be cautious because just on the exit there, you've also got pit entry. So much like we saw at Oran Park, pit entry is going to be absolutely key to getting in here. We are expecting some very quick lap times out there, somewhere around the 1 minute 12.6 range. We'll keep an eye on that because we have been shown to be a little bit out as the race goes on, but we expect the quick guys to be getting in and around that time segment. The other key talking point, which will no doubt be up from the stewards, will be in the event of a safety car, the restart zone begins on the exit of the hairpin. So for the guys that are a little bit further down, trying to get the power down mid-corner on there is going to be very, very tricky, and potentially we could see someone rotate the car on exit.
Yeah, well, we just had a preview from Dan there, and of course, Norrie, you normally take us around the lap, and this week you've managed to get into another car, and who was silly enough to leave their garage open for this one?
Sorry, man, I'm just still reeling from Dan saying it's a great circuit. He's wrong on every account there. The Frog Leap guys have been the ones who have been the victim of my crimes this week of stealing a race car. I managed to get it around Sonoma, it didn't crash, and I found an Apex. So here it is.
G'day everyone and welcome aboard Norway's Navigation. This week we're at Sonoma Raceway in California, USA. I found myself a Frog Leap Racing Commodore and I'm going to see if I can steer it around this Sonoma circuit. It's quite tight and twisty and there's a few undulating curves in it. So here we go. Turn 1 left and uphill. You got to feed the car some gears here to really stick it to the line before diving over to the right. Hug that curb there. There you go, Matty. I can tell you what an apex is. And then we duck here through 3 and up to 4. Hit some curb, get the wheels off the deck and use the curb on the left to catch the car. Down the hill, turning into turn 5, and you want to hit a bit of curb on the right, bit of curb on the left. Watch the wing mirror on the left there as well as we dive down to turn 6, and you want to sort of go back on yourself here because it's a bit of a hairpin. Back through for 7, and then 7 leads us into 8. Bit of a roller coaster here through the S's, on and off the throttle as you dive through the corners, but you find yourself coming out of it at 9. And it runs you down to turn 10 and then back into 11 as we lead down to the final corner, the hairpin that leads you on the main straight. Don't like that cone, so I'm just going to flip it out of the way. And we round the corner, use mid-corner throttle to get yourself really turned well and get that exit so your competitor doesn't outrun you to the final corner. Turn 12 and then across the line. That is a rather tricky lap. Better go return this Commodore before someone notices it missing.
Well, Norry, you're right. There was a couple of apexes that you did hit in that one. So it's fantastic that your driving skills are getting better as the season goes on. A big thanks to Pure Driving School, of course, who are behind all the laps that we get out there. And good that they could give you some pointers this week, Norry.
Yeah, absolutely. I obviously needed them from my lack of training at Oran Park and Barber and every other racetrack we've been to this season.
I tell you what, though, you are the man when it comes to this. Tell us, what is the pit stop strategy going to be? What's the fuel we're going to take? And are we taking tyres at this one?
Okay, so this pit stop strategy is exactly what Dan said previously, and the pit entry is right on driver's left coming into that hairpin. So you set yourself up for a good corner, but you set yourself up for a poor pit entry. Always going to take tyres on this one, and you're sort of going to be lapping probably about 18, 19 like it was at Oran Park to get that ultimate pit stop strategy. We might see some drivers run a bit longer, a bit shorter for some other drivers, but it'd be interesting to see who does run it to the maximum. Pit exit is on the uphill on the left, so you got to watch yourself going into turn 2 that no one's coming out of pit exit trying to barge off the track.
And, gents, I need to ask, we're laying bets again on the safety car. Will we see it this week? Is it a definite? Dan, what's your bet?
Yeah, definitely. We will no doubt see it out there. I'm expecting to see, I don't want to see, but I'm sure if it is going to happen, it's going to either be down in 7 before we make our way through the S's because it's very tight there, and a big curb that the guys have got to get their way through, or down into the hairpin. So look out for some issues along those ways.
You missed out on the cash last week, Norry. Safety car or no safety car?
I want to say is the Pope Catholic, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see a safety car.
All right, there it is. Prediction is safety car this week. We're taking bets on that one. Don't forget to join us. Of course, it is Friday, the 5th of March when we go racing. That is going to be fantastic. 9:40 p.m. the coverage all starts. If you haven't already, make sure you go to AOSC TV at YouTube. Like and subscribe to the channel. 10 p.m. race gets underway, so make sure you got 9:40 to get in there, get your snacks ready, get your TV livened up, get all the YouTube running. It's going to be a big one from Sonoma Cup, Friday the 5th of March, race 182 in the AOSC TV history. Anything else to add, guys? Are we all good to go? Looking forward to it.
James Scott win and Corey Shepherd second, Andrew Dyson third.
Third, and Adam Briggs fifth. It's got to be a third, fifth for the DPR boys. So that's the predictions, guys, from the pre-race show. Thanks for joining us again. Can't wait to bring the race to you next. So good luck, and we'll see you there.